and welcome to Bottles and Bricks, a Last of Us podcast. I'm your host, Ronan Unchained. Um, I'm gonna say it. Holy shit! If by the time you're seeing this, we had Sam and I, my co-host Sam, Samuel Leggett Jr. from Team JVS. Um, we had just filmed something. There's a rumor it's been happening since December. Imagine if this so and so plays Abby, and fucking next thing you know, boom, Kaitlyn Dever is playing Abby. But before we get into that, I want to welcome in Jamie Bronax. Jamie, how you doing?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I am good. I'm good. And like mentioned him earlier, I have also Sam, my co-host. Dude, what the hell, man?
Hey, we predicted it, man. We predicted it. It's
Really?
just
You guys
weird.
predicted
Well, so we kind of were like, hey, they've been talking around this, and I was kind of like, she's already connected to Naughty Dog because of her work, like you brought up last time with Uncharted. And then on top of that, it's kind of like she initially was in the running to play Ellie.
Ellie.
Like from a game standpoint, she looks
it? She
almost
looks
like
like
the
Like
younger
Ellie.
version of
Yeah.
Ellie in so
She
many
does.
different ways. But I was kind of like, it'd be so much interesting symmetry if she did play Abby. Because if you haven't played the second game, Abby is the other half of this. She is a very pivotal character. Hater or lover, she is very intricate to that story. And it's kind of like that cause and effect. It's like that domino effect all over again. And much like Ashley playing the mother of Ellie, for her to go and be Abby is such an interesting back and forth where they're gonna go with this. So yeah, I'm excited for her. I mean, I loved her in the last movie she was in on Hulu. I think she's got the acting chops to do it. It's just we talked around the idea of it, and now it's just reality. So I'm happy.
Yeah, yeah. Folks, if you haven't gone and seen "No One Will Save You," I would highly recommend it. I dug that film. I had fun with it. I can understand people saying that like it was missing 5-10 minutes more of this stuff, but regardless of that, I was like minimal dialogue, and yet I understand what she's going through to an extent emotionally, and uh, her action with just by herself. I was like, if she's playing Abby down the road, she could do it, and I I listen. I'm gonna pull up right now, but like I feel people immediately the first thing was okay, cool, she's casted, but also that means how are you gonna get from this to that? How is that
that's
gonna
what
go
I'm saying.
down?
That's what I'm
And
saying.
from what you both know of the game, and I'll pull up an example I have for this. Where do we? Because Jamie knows what happens and all that stuff. Where will we start season 2 if we have Kaitlyn thus far as we have now? And just to give another quick heads up, which I was trying to do in the previous one, but we are talking spoilers. All we can say non-spoilers is yay! Someone got cast in the show. We can't wait in a year or two whenever the show comes out. But that's all we can say because if we want to dive deep into the character and what she means and how Sam pointed out earlier that she's basically for the story of part 2, she's the catalyst. She starts the whole 27-hour journey with that fucking game. So one last time, spoilers. If you've played it, hang on. But if you haven't, I would highly recommend play the game, and then you can come back and hear our thoughts on it. Jamie, from what you see of her now, where would we start season 2? Do we immediately introduce her, or do we wait till the very end, midway? How would we play that out?
So I've been sort of gauging the temperature on social media and just kind of seeing what everybody's thoughts and perspectives were on this casting, which, by the way, Kaitlyn Dever, love her. I first saw her in the movie Booksmart, and she was so great in that. So she's really good at comedy as well. But from what people are saying, there's been some theories that they'll start with a young Abby and go down that path before they go into the storyline that we all know from the game. And that's probably, I'm thinking, where they'll start, because let's be honest, they're going to milk this storyline for as long as they can with having Pedro Pascal on this show for as long as possible, because we know the fate of his character, of what happens in season 2. And I know we're going to eventually say what's going to happen to his character, but I don't think he's going to go just yet. Even in season 2,
Yeah.
I think they're going to focus on a young Abby in season 2, and then we'll eventually build that momentum up into what happens to the fate of Joel, possibly at the end of season 2, beginning season 3.
I concur. Sam, you and I experienced it all the way. Those 20, I don't know how many hours it took you to finish it, but it took me a solid 26 hours to finish that fucking game. We've been talking about this as well, and I'm glad Jamie brought it up. How would you put it?
Emotional damn. I'm joking.
There it is.
No. In my personal opinion, I think Jamie is right on the money. I said it even last time. I think this is a perfect opportunity to pull from the 5-year gap from the first game and the second game, where there's so much to unpack from Joel and Ellie's relationship. But then the catalyst really isn't Abby, it's really Joel. Joel started this the moment that he touched down and went like a hurricane over the hospital. The last person, well, actually, the second to last person Joel killed was her dad. That's the biggest spoiler.
Yeah.
Because of that, that sets her down a trajectory that she can't come back from. And it's going to spiral into what we get into the second game. So I think that it would be perfect. The next moment you see, first episode, is you see a young girl looking for her dad. She sees all these dead bodies. She doesn't know what's going on. It looks like, somebody just wiped everybody out, and she can't comprehend what's going on. And she probably would ask, like, why would you kill the doctor? The one person that can actually do anything. What did he do? Was he really a threat? And from there, you kind of just have her just boiling up. And then, of course, you're going to have to kind of go back from pace the show, like Joel and Ellie kind of getting acclimated to what they're doing. So I think that it'd be a really interesting parallel to see them kind of progressionally going down, to see how Abby got to the point from that physique that you saw in that one picture to, like what brings about that? Who does she connect with? Who does she work with? I think that there's so many different things that they can kind of thread with that to unpack her character more, not to make her more empathetic or understandable, but at the very least give her a real character process. Because when you go non-linear, from a gaming standpoint, that's a lot. And so if they keep it linear, you can really make this really 2 seasons. I mean, honestly, Joel's fate doesn't have to be in season 2. Exactly. It can be the beginning of season 3, to be honest. I mean, there's so many.
Or even, like you said, 2 seasons. It could go into season 4, because that's a good point. Like, sorry to interrupt you, but that's a good point. Like, we never really see the full development of Abby's character in the game. Like, we just go to her. We know that Joel's responsible for the death of her father, and that's what motivates her actions with Joel. But we don't get much character development there. So, yeah, we get a young Abby. She's a little scrawny, kind of like, Captain America. He's scrawny a little bit, and then he kind of buffs up, and we see like the full man that he becomes. And that's kind of what we'll probably see with Abby. Like, she's going to be like this buff chick that is motivated and drawn to, being sort of this machine because of what Joel did to her and who Joel took away from her. So that's a really good point. And yeah, like, I don't think they're going to take Pedro Pascal away from this show. This guy is hot. Like, he was trending on Twitter last night because of the Golden Globes. Like, people love this guy.
And listen, before anybody puts in the comments, like, she did develop, like, yes, eventually they tell us why she became the way she became, but the way it played on the game is that, like, boom, the big hit, no pun intended, happens, and then we're off on this, and then they decide to pull the rug on us, be like, oh, you know what, halfway through this journey, the mileage we've gone to, you gotta play the origin story. And for a lot of fans, I was just like, fuck this, even it was the first time in my playthrough that I was like, I need a minute. I'm like, there's no way the hell they're gonna make me do this again. And you're right, Sam, about the catalyst, the Joel with the doctor one. Yes, I understand that, but what I meant was that for the story that they chose to do for part 2, that it's Abby coming down to Jackson and whatnot. And I feel we've been saying this since the get go, and just constantly like, where will we go season 2? And I would not be surprised if the way halfway through the game, how the game starts of young Abby, that's how we start season 2. Cut to the opening, the Emmy winning opening credits, and then we go to Joel and Ellie. And I would not be surprised if season 2 ends with Ellie telling Joel, "Tell me what happens, or we're done. I will not go back to Jackson." He tells her, and it's the I don't want to say breakup because that sounds gross in that factor, but the fall of that family, at least for that time period, that like the minute that happens, she's gonna go back to Jackson, but her and Joel are no more and all that stuff. And that and make fans who don't play the game sit with that for a year or two and be like, that's it, no more familia. And I'm gonna say this just because people might be like, wait a minute, she's gonna be supposed to become that person. I'd like to point out, and I know I've told this to Sam and other folks, and I know John Roca posted a photo of it on Twitter. But I was saying, if you're willing to accept Lyndall Hamilton in the 80s as that Sarah Connor, and then in the early 90s she becomes that Sarah Connor, then easy with it. Then like it is plausible. Now, much like the game did, and I didn't have a problem with it, seeing how bulked up she became. They have to also showcase that, like, all right, how would someone in the post-apocalyptic world become that that lethal? How much they would be willing to, some would say, give away her femininity and become just the ultimate killer weapon. Because that's at the end of it, by T2, that's what Sarah does. She forgoes to an extent the motherhood she was gonna have and becomes the ultimate killing weapon to survive. I know I'm gonna be on almost like patrol, making sure people try not to spoil the game and not go after Kaitlyn Dever, because I'm not. I had it once with Laura. I'm not gonna do that again with Kayla. I'm like, yo, I'm not happy with what's coming. I know what's coming, but no way I'm gonna let that go to Kaylin. Sam, how do we?
I know where you're going with this. Okay.
How the hell? And Jamie, this is really interesting for you to talk about. How the hell are we gonna cover season 2 and not bring up stuff that's coming? Because people are just gonna be like just posting. People are already posting. Kaylin playing golf, and it's just like, God damn it, folks! It hasn't been 24 hours. We're already posting jokes like that. Like, no.
I mean,
how are we gonna do that?
It might not be as difficult, because if they do go towards the theory that I mentioned and that a lot of fans are thinking, if they go down the path of the young Abby route, then we're not even going to go there with the Abby revenge plot, which is what happens in the game. So if they're just going to focus on just a young Abby and her father is still alive, and she's with her crew, or maybe even during her period with her father, and those moments, and establishing that storyline for us as the audience to understand the relationship that they had and the closeness that they had as father and daughter, which is good because we want to understand, what motivates her to be so angry, to want to have this kind of revenge. So maybe that's what's going to stretch out that whole season, where we don't even go there with those conversations. Who knows? We may not even see the golf club.
I hope that. I fucking hope that.
Yeah, I mean, I know people want to go there, but I really feel, because they cast Kaitlyn Dever, and because she's not even, because I believe they start filming in a month.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, so she's not ready. She's not ready to look like Abby in the game. Let's keep it 100. So if she's going to start looking like Abby in the game, it's not going to happen until another season. So that's probably when they start filming in 2025, or maybe even 2026. They may skip a year, like House of the Dragon or something. Yep. So I think we probably will be okay in that respect if they decide to go down the young Abby path.
Yeah. Sam?
That's my
Yeah.
hope.
No,
No, it's
think
valid.
I think you're right, because the
Yeah.
truth of the matter is, like, people like my wife, or friends that weren't gamers, you know what I'm saying? Like, they were just excited to see where the story thread was going to go. It was us geeks and us gamers that were kind of like, oh man, I'm excited. Is this going to happen? But the general audience are just kind of like, I'm ready for the ride. I want to get the immersion of where this is going to go. So I think that if they didn't spoil, like the ending of the first season, I think we're going to be okay. But the other part about the reason why, I mean, for us as critics, we got it early, so we knew what was coming. But the general audience, they didn't know if it was going to end how it ended. It could have been a whole nother season. They ended it on the first game, but instead they chose to do it the way they did, and it's going to be the same situation for this one. I mean, we know for a fact that there's certain give and goes that they're going to show, but because there's such a 5-year gap, there's so much unthreads that even the gamers are not going to anticipate where it's going to go. So I think we're safe along that line. But I do think that there's a pause for concern of making sure people are civilized in the way that they handle talking about certain characters. Abby specifically, there was so much hate that was thrown around, and that happens. I don't know why it's like certain female characters or characters of color that are brought with so much disdain when things go outside the norm or general scope of people's perceptions. But I do think that, preserve life as best as possible, man. Like, we just went through 3 years of hell, right? So this entertainment is for us to embrace and enjoy. So celebrate, Kaitlyn getting this, celebrate Bella Ramsey going into this second arc of this character. So I really think that there is something to advocate to go against the grain of what the normal, fandom does, which is try to do too much. So I think that as we're doing our reviews and as people are asking us questions, I think that just as long as we kind of maintain ourselves and don't let our traumas define our perception of what this is going to be, I think everything is going to be fine, because the general audience is just excited to see where it's going to go, and they don't want to get spoiled. It's kind of like, I'm an anime fan, right? I don't read the manga because I don't want to get spoiled. I want to, I'm excited to, but I don't, because I want to get that first feeling ever. Some of us that are gamers, we were watching like people like Keaton that it was their first time watching this, and I was jealous because I was like, man, I wish I could experience this for the very first time without knowing anything. So I think that's going to be thing that's going to be very important for season 2.
And the whole thing about Trump. Yeah. And I would be like, I would argue that season 2 offers a great opportunity to flesh out the other factors as well. For example, the wolf factor at that end, the Washington Liberation Front. You flush out, even I think they're called the scars in the game, the cult, if you will. That could play a factor out more better than in the game did. I'm gonna wrap things up now. I could presume that all of us are excited with the notion that Kaitlyn has been cast. If she ever sees this, if anybody at Naughty Dog or HBO sees this, we've got her back. I will be
Protect Kaitlyn at all costs.
All costs.
I will be like, listen, I have my issues with part 2, but I'm gonna protect her at all costs, because that's not cool. Jamie, Sam, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Jamie, tell where folks can find you at.
Yep, at Black Girl Nerds is on all of our different socials. X, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, wherever you choose to hang out. And blackgirlnerds.com is the website. We also have a podcast. We put out weekly episodes. So wherever you want to stream your favorite podcasts, you can listen to us there.
Nice. Sam?
Yeah, you can find me at my social tag somewhere right there. I'm on everything: TikTok, Twitter or X, Instagram, whatever. But I mean, most of our content is on YouTube, on Team JBS. We've got interviews, discussions, reviews, a lot of crazy stuff that I don't want to talk about here. But it's going to be an interesting year. So yeah, definitely check out our content. We got a lot coming.
Beautiful. Yeah, folks. This was a big big thing to start off the year with, and now we just gotta hold our breath and just wait to see if we get a teaser or first look. I don't know what's gonna go down this year, and it's also Naughty Dog's 40th anniversary, so we'll see if they bring up anything from the video game division. Um, but Jamie, Sam, thanks for joining. Hope you have a
All
well
right.
night and take care of yourselves.
Hey,
All
give
right,
Jarrell the
bye.
business. Y'all go into it deep. You know what
I know
mean?
he's been yelling at the hilltop, so I'll let him. I'll just tell him, be like, go full 11, dude. Go at it.
He might not even know about the news. He's got a snowstorm going on.
I know.
All right, Jamie. Good to see you
All
again.
right, take care. Bye.
All right, guys. Bye.
But Joel, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Good. It's just a rogue snowstorm, and life is throwing the hardest curveballs imaginable. But alas, I am here.
Ironic snowstorm with the character we're talking about and how she's introduced. That's interesting. That's interesting. I like that. So like Sam and I and the rest and Jamie talked about the news that popped. They casted her, dude. They did it.
So, man, it's been such a weird day. But I remember hearing about this super vaguely, and I only had like 12 seconds to think about it because I was at work. But thinking about it now. So first off, I have no idea who that woman is. So shout out to her. What is a good reference for her? Is she from what's she been in?
So she's been in Booksmart. She's been in the Hulu movie No One Will Save You. What else? She ironically is cool little thing that we talked about in the last video, that she plays Nathan Drake and Elsa, no, or I don't know, Nathan Drake's daughter in Uncharted 4 as well.
Damn, I've and what's her first name again? Was it
Kaitlyn?
Oh, Kaitlyn.
Yes.
I apologize. I have intriguingly been through none of that content.
And
but, I mean, just judging off her face, where's a picture of her again?
boom.
Interesting. I'm gonna take a wild guess that she doesn't have that kind of build, so that'll be an interesting conversation of what they're gonna do with that. That'll be intriguing.
What's ironic, dude, is that I don't know if you know this, but I believe she auditioned for Ellie in the show.
Oh, okay. Shit. All right.
Well, she looks like Ellie, but after what Bella did, I'm like, okay, Bella's Ellie or not. But I was always intrigued to be like, bring in Kaitlyn Dever for something else. Yes, she's not built like Abby, but the one cool thing that I think John Roca and somebody else, and what I've been saying for a while, is that if folks start like worrying about that, I'm like, if folks are okay with Linda Hamilton being like this in the 80s, and then she makes the transition in the 90s like that, we're in good hands. We're okay.
Yeah. God, I love fucking T2. Jesus Christ. But man. It's funny. I'm kind of like live processing this now because I didn't have time to
I know.
think about this earlier.
Yeah.
I'm just too busy with work. I don't know how familiar you were with her performance-wise prior to her casting, but I got zero, sadly.
I was one of the people before Bella Ramsey was casted. She was interviewed by Perry Nemiroff, a phenomenal host, journalist who works for Collider. She got to interview and asked her about Ellie in Last of Us, and now she's like, yes, I've been in Naughty Dog. I'd like to have the chance to play her if that's possible. So I've been rooting for her to be part of the show for a while now. And although I've seen the parts of Booksmart, I have to rewatch it again to fully get it. But now people love the movie. To me, what got me, funny enough, was No One Will Save You. And there's something else of her that I saw, but like I'm like, she's likable. I can understand her. And the joke that I made to Sam early on was like, what happens with the journey Abby goes through, I might be more acceptive of it in the show than I was with the game, because in the game I was like, fuck this shit. This shit, I was like, the hell with it. I wasn't one of those people that cut their their copy of the game and just threw the TV out the window. Although parts of me wanted to,
Sure.
for a while I was just like, fuck this, fuck the character. And
Yeah.
it wasn't until she meets two kids that I was like, okay, I understand the character now to an extent.
Yeah, I don't know about that first part. I think I have a sinking feeling it could be just as painful, or
Yeah.
God forbid, sort of by way of season 7 of The Walking Dead. It could be worse than the source
Yeah.
material, actually, or more disturbing, I should say. Uh, it, Shockingly, I was giving the show a compliment just a moment ago. It's been a long time since I've given The Walking Dead a compliment, but that is interesting that she's and fuck. I guess we have no sense of a release date for season 2, or did that change?
So the thing that we know thus far is that they're probably starting to shoot the show next month. And there was a report I read somewhere that it'll shoot from February to September. So that's a solid what, 6 months? Um, so I would not be surprised if we get season 2. If we probably get it either in late spring of 2025 or late 2025. I would not be surprised if we got in 2025. If we got in 2026, that wouldn't surprise me either, just because we got two strikes that happened this previous 6-7 months.
Yeah.
But I think because, and again, it's not fully confirmed, but because I believe the co-writer of Part 2, Haley Gross, is also might be involved in season 2. That might help out with the development of scripts. I know I think they said they had the first episode already laid out, the first script for the first episode set out for season 2. So
Okay.
they still have some stuff to do, and I know Craig Mason, either in his podcast or in somebody's interview, said that like I think half of the season 1 was already written before they started shooting, and then while they were
Okay.
shooting, he was writing the second half of season 1, which is remarkable in my opinion. But I feel like, well, it's gonna either we'll get in 2025 or 2026. I think anything longer than that would be like, huh, why is that? Unless they're just waiting for Bella to age or something like that. I don't know.
I I mean, if I had to just make a blind guess, I would definitely go with late 2025, early
Yeah.
2026 for sure.
Yeah.
Just because a production like this, I mean, if they're trying to go as hard as they did before or exceed, yeah, that's gonna slow you down. Sadly for the the eager fans, but yeah, nah. HBO would want to put their time in, especially with certain key events that happen in the second season. So, because if they're not careful, they could get, this could potentially be the greatest backlash that they've
Television
ever seen.
history.
Yeah, and that's saying something given Game of Thrones. So
Yeah. I what I want to ask you, and is the one thing that I think we talked about it with you, but what me and Sam been saying is that season 2 won't even touch the moment or one of the two moments from part 2, but that it'll season 2 will dive deep into the 5-year gap in the game and the flashbacks. At least a good proportion of the flashbacks that will meet young Abby in season 2, and that we will experience um, the love that Ellie and Joel have for each other, and then slowly go back to what did that I swear an okay moment meant. And I think we talked about it, but I feel like season 2 is going to end with Ellie holding a tape recorder, Joel running to her in a horse, and them talking it out. Be like, finally, just say what happened here. You lied to me one more time. I am not going to be with you anymore. I'll go back to Jackson, but I will, you and I will be done. I think that's how they're going to end it.
Interesting. Ending of season 2.
Yeah. Because they can't do the whole game in season 2. There's no way. That's just.
Well, I guess not season 2 2 Part 1 or Part A or whatever the fuck this is, because they already confirmed, like, season 2 is gonna be like multiple seasons.
They said that for part 2 that it has to be more than one season to tell the story. It's too big of a story.
Right. It's I don't know. It's funny. I've done zero speculation for this conversation, but I don't know. I'm not sure what the hell they would do, even with the split, because you can always play with time.
Yeah.
So who knows? And unfortunately, Neil Druckmann is in the heartbreaking business, so I wouldn't be too lax walking into season.
No, yeah.
Part 2, I would be trepidatious about both.
You could say spoilers. It just I don't think we can dive deep into a lot of what happens after what the incident happens in part 2, but you can talk about, and I'll say it, the way that she kills Joel.
Yeah.
I'm not ready for that, dude. And I think HBO is gonna be trepidatious about it, but Craig and Neil be like, that's something that has to happen. I'll say this now, and I should have said it.
I think HBO is gonna be game. Actually, I think it's
Yeah.
a total role reversal. They show penises and gore and
It's true.
dragon gore and all so much crazy shit up until this point. You know what I mean?
I just feel now that Pedro is so beloved in pop culture that this might be. I'm not trying to make it a dick measuring contest, but I think this might be more heartbreaking, if not equally heartbreaking, to when Glenn dies. Because the factor in is that with Steven Yeun and Glenn, you had what, 6 seasons before, I did say no exception. Boom, he gets hit.
Yeah.
And with this one, you'll probably have 3 seasons. So,
Man, that's a tough one because, yeah, you're right. We have been with Glenn for like a minute.
and you guys did have a fake out with him. I know that. I didn't watch the show like you guys did, but I know he at one point he had a fake out of his death.
Oh yeah, in the moment it was great, but then when you like saw like where's this going, what's going on, and then you realized it was a fake out. If they had killed him in that moment, it would have been one of TV's most shocking moments. It would have been more shocking than him getting his head beaten by the bat, in my opinion.
Okay.
Because nobody, even like people who are anticipating the bat moment, even they were like, "Wait, what? He's died already? What's going on?"
Yeah.
That's what the future, blah blah, or the comic timeline, whatever. But man, yeah, the Glenn comparison is pretty good. That's a tough one. I would maybe just give the edge to The Last of Us. I would even go as far as to say that even if the season was flawed, this moment may actually already be worse than Glenn, just because I don't know. Joel's just such an unusually likable guy, and they chose an unusually likable guy to play him.
Yeah.
So it's like, that seems like the right mixture. I guess we'll see, but because the Glenn moment was Jesus Christ. Like I saw it, I knew it was coming, and even I was like, "Whoa!" There, that was almost levels worse than the comic, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Personally,
I don't recall if I knew that in the comics it was Glenn, but I know that I remember working that day when episode 1 of season 7 appeared, and how everybody at work or everybody, all the customers were like, "You watching Walking Dead? Who's gonna be?" And I was like, "I don't know." And I'm trying to finish my shift to go home and be like, "All right, let's just see what happens."
yeah, that was the last time. That was the last time that The Walking Dead went hard, because
Yeah.
it was literally like a must watch. Everyone's going home,
Mhm.
so we do not miss this or have it spoiled, because you can't outrun spoilers for that. How would that even? So, goddamn, Walking Dead was so good. My goodness. Well, anyways, the reel is back. Yeah, we'll see. But if I was a betting man, I would say that Joel's is gonna be worse for sure. Even just trying to like imagine it in like live action.
Yeah, oof.
How they might shoot it. That sounds like terrifying for sure.
I've had daydreams of meeting Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann and be like, listen, if you need Jackson citizens or clickers, my friend Sam, me, and Jorel, my friend Jorel, we'd love to go to Canada and shoot, something for you guys. And we will happily be background actors. And then be like, you sure? And I can imagine us three being like, yeah, we'll go, we'll get passports. We go, and then one of the first things we have to do is like, you want to see the scene play out, and it's the scene, and we're like, no, god damn it, we're gonna watch this here in background.
First off, I would love to play a clicker. That
Yeah.
would be amazing. Okay, as long as there's like an inhaler on standby, because a nigga has asthma, unfortunately.
Right.
I wasn't blessed to have normal lungs, but that would be amazing to be a clicker. What? I need to submit an application. That'd be incredible.
Congratulations to Kaitlyn Dever. I'm happy for you, but also know that I will be there to be protective of the wave you're gonna get, because it's much like Daniel said, it's inevitable. But I have hope that we'll be more. Even me saying that, I'm almost trying to not laugh. We'll be more somewhat of a better society. But anyways, Jarrell, thanks so much for joining me for this part of the podcast.
Yes, sir.
Where can people find you?
Just as it is on the screen, Jarrell's Alexandria. That's like the main hub. That's my YouTube channel, and yeah, you can just find everything through there, reviews and my own art as well. Good stuff.
Beautiful. Yeah, folks, go check out his coverage of the show and of the game. I highly recommend you check out his reviews. I highly recommend you go to back what I've been saying for the past episodes. Go back and watch Sam's run on the games. Sometimes here and there, Jarrell's pops up, and so it's fun to hear the dynamics while the game is being played out in time. So I highly recommend that. Holy God, what is happening? What is happening, y'all? But anyways, folks, welcome to Bottles and Breaks, a Last of Us podcast. I'm your host, Ronan Unchained, and I'm here with my co-host, Samuel Leggett from Team UVS. Sam, what's happening here? This is HBO and Craig and Neil and Night Dog just be like, what's happened next? Boom. How are you doing, man?
Look, I'm good. I mean, basically, Naughty Dog / HBO, they're a whole pound. I mean, to be honest with you, like HBO is about to go ham for the next few months with True Detective alone. And for them to kind of get people excited for what's to come is genius. While simultaneously, you got Naughty Dog promoting a remastered remastered game with add-ons to stuff that people are just going to be excited about for the same. They're doubling down. They're working together. And it's perfect for us because we're covering it all.
Yeah. So folks, if you're seeing this, and I don't know how I'm going to put it out yet, I'm probably going to combine with what we did yesterday, but we had just covered yesterday that Kaitlyn Dever has been officially cast as Abby, and it's been rumored for a while. This came out of left field, but we can say that the breaking news is that young Mazino will play Jesse. This is remarkable. This is unique because, again, it's back to back, and this is a good instance of where people got his attention because of Beef, and you've seen Beef. I haven't seen it yet, so you can talk to seeing what he's capable of and what you think of his casting choice.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So Young is a very talented actor. In Beef, he plays Stephen Young's younger brother. Very ambitious, very naive, but also very smart. From a physicality standpoint, like he's got this presence about him that just really stands out. Like honestly, he just maneuvered around that show so seamlessly that I was kind of like, him playing like somebody like this is going to be amazing. Like he's a very dynamic actor. And I think that to give him something with action is going to be very interesting, because I think that from a physicality standpoint, like he's got it. Like he had a couple different scenes where he's playing basketball and a couple different altercations and beef. So I think that he's very athletic. But to put him in an element like this, he also has this ability of emotionally like checking out with his acting. And I think that that's going to be very important when it comes to the characters in season 2 and 3. So I think he's gonna crush it.
I hope so. Hopefully, we'll see how time plays out and where I'm at. Where I might try beef before season 2 arrives. But yeah, it's so cool. It's weird that like back to back. And we'll make a joke prediction later on. But from what I'm seeing and gathering, my instincts say that what we've been theorizing, and again, folks, if this doesn't happen, it's not the end of the world, but it's just us where we would go is that if we take what we're getting with now Young playing Jesse, and we see Kaitlyn Dever yesterday be cast as Abby, this feels like season 2 is like if I was a betting man in Vegas, I'd be like, oh yeah, it's during the 5-year gap between the first game and the second game. And I would not be surprised if during this season we build up the posses, which means Abby's posse and now Ellie's posse.
Yep.
It's unique because again, we didn't really spend much time in the between to see where their dynamics went and how much. I don't want to spoil stuff for the game, but just know this, folks, that. But when you meet Jesse and you see how he talks to Ellie, how he interacts with her, that even when there's a how do I put it, Sam? A unusual, unique circumstance between him and somebody else, that he's very cool. He's down to earth and he has her back. And that was something that a lot of people had issues with the supporting characters for Ellie. I dug that because that brought it down to an earth of not just parental point of view, but now some people who are in her age. So you said he played Stephen Young's brother in Beef.
Yep, younger brother.
From what you saw of Beef and what you saw what Bella did with Ellie, how do you think that's going to mash up?
I think that the interesting thing is he falls in love with the older woman in Beef. And he tries to be all cool about it, but he's got this young innocence about him. And I think that he plays that innocent card really well. Like he looks really older, but he's got a young soul about him. So I think that they're gonna mesh pretty well. But there's another character that's also got to be involved in all this.
Yeah.
To make this trifecta complete. So we'll see where we go with all that.
And you know what? Again, folks, we're just here covering this to be like, yeah, that we have another announcement that's official. And I think, let me ask you, before I bring up the character that you were trying to reference right now, let's look at this image that you brought up. This is who we, like 100% sure, are going to be in season 2.
Yep.
This is who we have thus far, are the main characters. Do you think they're putting out these news ahead of time because of the rumored take that they're filming in a month and that they don't want people taking leaked photos on set and be like, looks like that kid is going to be Jesse and looks like that kid's going to be Abby, and what does that mean? So you think they're just right now getting ahead of the curve to be like, all right, strike's over. We're back in production. We're going full steam ahead with season 2. This is who we can start laying out a foundation of, like, you're going to meet these new characters if you haven't played the games. If you have played the games, hang on.
Yeah, I think that they want to go ahead and get ahead of it so people can, instead of like questioning what is what, like a Spider-Man situation, like they like, oh, you've already confirmed who this is. Let's cheer for them. Like, let's be excited. Because, like, one of the things that I love about what's going on with Deadpool right now, we know full well what's going on. And so when you see those behind the scenes pictures, it's like, oh snap, that's Sabretooth. Oh snap, that's the suit. And like we're excited to see what's gonna come from it. And even though it's like leaked behind the scenes stuff, like it just builds anticipation. I think Stranger Things is gonna probably do the same exact thing. But yeah, no, I think that's exactly what HBO is doing. They're trying to get ahead of it because they know as they're starting to film stuff, people are gonna be reeling about it, and they're gonna be kind of questioning where things are gonna go too. So yeah, I mean, you're gonna talk about the unknown character that has. Well, okay, before I go that route, Bella Ramsey said when she was her workout video. No, not even workout video. It was another video. I think they were. Was it the SAG Awards? It was the Golden Globes.
Yes.
For the Golden Globes, when they did the interview, somebody was kind of asking about like, what to anticipate. Like, do you know if somebody legit asked before the day before, was Kaitlyn like gonna be casted? And she kind of, didn't blink or anything.
Yeah.
But she said, I know who everybody is. I know the whole entire cast. So that means that they'd already had their picks before this month. It had to have been between November. It might have even been as far back as October, but they're just trying to keep things hush hush. So they've already known. They're just allowing everybody to ride the wave, which is smart marketing, in my opinion. So I think we're gonna get everybody eventually.
So, okay. So before I bring up the image, and we could break down just a tiny bit, because until they officially announced her casting, folks, what we've been teasing is that Jesse is one of Ellie's best friends in the game, and he has her back. But besides Jesse in the game, there's somebody else as well that has Ellie's back, is a friend of hers, and one would say will go distance for her, and that is none other than Dina.
Yep.
Now, let's see. We'll take that off. That's a cool moment right there that we'll show a peek of between the two of them. That's all I'm going to show, because that's a beautiful moment that you had to like really search an area. And then I'm going to say is that Dina and Ellie have similar takes in music, and I'll just leave it at that. And if you've seen season 1, you keep a good eye out for that. Before I pull up more images to showcase more of Dina and whatnot, Sam, how much you want to bet tomorrow they announce a casting and they'd be like, that's it. Wait a few months and then we'll drop more, but that's all we're dropping today and whatnot. What do you think?
Look.
Oh, bro. I was thinking the exact same thing.
Real carefully. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say it once. You let them mess around and cast Jenna Ortega as this character, the internet will lose their freaking minds. Yeah. I'm not even joking. I think she may be too big of an actress for this role, but honestly, from what I heard, Florence Pugh for a long time was circling around Abby. So I mean, they do have Pedro Pascal in. They do have amazing talent. So right now, we know for a fact that she's no longer going to be doing. She's no longer going to be doing Scream. She's already finished Beetlejuice, and we know that she may have already started filming Wednesday or about to begin Wednesday. So I mean, I don't want to throw this up for people to get like, oh, and get disappointed if she doesn't. I'm just saying that it's exciting in general. I don't know who they're going to cast, but what I do know is that this character is very important to who Ellie has to become, present and future. And I'm gonna put it like that. I'm gonna leave it like that. And gamers understand what I mean, and people that are watching the show, you will get how important of a character Dina is.
I don't know how the hell you read my mind, but I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I think it might just up with age with Bella. I'm like, if you give Jenna the ponytail one out, that looks like Dina a little bit. And I also want to showcase this, and you know what? I'm with you. I'm gonna be like, internet. I think I could safely say that Bottles and Bricks fan casting for Dina would be Jenna Ortega. I think that's a phenomenal addition. I understand the thing you say about too big, but I feel that if you cast Pedro when you did for Joel, who I mean, now his stardom is just keep going and going. But when you casted him, a lot of people were like, yes, because they had loved what he did with Mando. He has a big following since Game of Thrones. People dug what he's been doing with Narcos and in his independent movies and shows. This, I think, is no exception either. And yet, look what they did with Pedro, what they gave him. Joel, another side of Joel, but very much Joel. I think they can do that with Jenna, whereas not just the serious type of person like that. If you yank that off and make her more energetic, you bring the soul to her, and dude, I love how you read my mind. Folks, we had a teased last season. I think we probably put out a video. I must have put out a video where I just zoom in on your face when the girl passed, and we're like, it's a fucking Dina.
Yeah.
And you know what?
I was literally gonna say, I was like, this actress may actually already be the character, which I'll be fine with if she can embody the character. I mean, they haven't let us wrong with any of the casting.
Yeah.
Yet, right? So if this is I'm saying this from an internet standpoint, you guys don't lose your minds if this actress is Dina. And if she is, then they saw something in her that will work for this. So give her flowers if she makes it, if she gets it.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. That if it's not Jenna, then her, and I would be fine with that because it stays with continuity. That we saw her in season 1, and you have to look really, really close in the background to catch. Oh yeah, they met before without having to introduce himself properly. Right. The only other thing I'm going to throw about the casting the potential of Dina is that Dina has a sister in the game. And this is a photo of Dina and her sister in the game, right? I'm going to put it out into the ether as well that the actress Shannon Woodward, who played Dina in the game, should play her sister. Whoever gets cast as Dina in the show, or maybe it's Shannon Woodward, who knows? But what I would put out is that, like, if you're going to bring in Dina and you want to layer a little bit more about Dina and her, where she comes from, her origin, where she connects with Ellie, you have to mention her sister. And if there's a photo laying around the background, I would cast Shannon Woodward, the original actress who played Dina, and put her in the live action show as well.
I'm all for it. It's just gonna be interesting to see. I really don't know, because there are certain other characters that are a little bit younger that well, they're probably not going to cast those characters until like season 3, but that would be a whole nother thing. But yeah, I mean, it's all exciting. I think this is the most excited I've been about a series casting in a very long time, and it's all based on the backs of how well they executed season 1. It's undeniable, like, at this point.
Yeah, I agree. My friend, I think that's how we'll wrap this up. Congratulations again for anybody who missed it when we first started the show. The breaking news is that young Mazino from Beef will be playing Jesse in the season 2 of HBO's The Last of Us. We wish you congratulations, young Mazino. I am hopeful that you're going to nail it. If Sam vouches for you, I wanted to go with it. Sam, thanks again for taking the time to talk with me. And again, this was all sudden, but we're like, we have to talk about this. Tell where folks, people can find you.
Yeah, you guys can find me right there on my social medias everywhere, on TikTok, on Facebook, on Instagram, on pretty much everywhere. But if you want to find our content, go to Team JVS, primarily on YouTube, but also all social medias as well. We do interviews, discussions, and we're going to have some spoiler breakdowns and some amazing shows. We're actually going to be doing one really soon. Hopefully Ronan can join, and that's about Echo, and another show coming up called True Detective. So stay tuned for all that.
Beautiful. Folks, you can find me here at Ronan Unchained on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram. Again, we're not gonna get this show this year, but slowly but surely we're gonna I have high hopes of expanding this podcast and doing some cool ideas that have been bubbling in my mind that I'll talk to Sam about this later. But in the meantime, as we've always said in this podcast, to the edge of the universe and back, endure and survive.